How do you make your scientific presentation pop and stand out and be memorable? Today, we're talking props, pauses, and questions. Hi, Ken Dutton Register here, and today we're talking about how to make your science presentation more awesome, more memorable, and more engaging. And we're going to do that through props, pauses, and questions. Becoming a more memorable presenter has a lot of benefits. Firstly, they're going to stay more engaged during your presentation, which means they're going to understand what the science is that you're doing. And this can lead on to more collaborative opportunities, because if they know exactly what you're doing and how it fits into their research, if there is an alignment, they're going to seek you out and want to be involved with what you're doing. Those that have a better presentation style, it creates a better relationship between the presenter and the audience. And if you can create that relationship and get people interested in, that's going to lead to more collaborations. And more collaborations going to lead to more papers, and it's going to lead to quicker research, so collaborations are good. You're also potentially going to get more invites to do more presentations, and this is going to be massive on the track record. Getting invited to talks is one of the key things that grant reviewers are looking for. And if you can show that you can present well, you're going to get more offers. So it's happened to me in the past. I've given a good presentation. It's just so happened that there's been a conference organizer there, and they've asked me to speak at their conference because I did give such a good presentation. So there's lots of benefits of being a more memorable presenter. But how do you do it? So first off, questions. Questions can be a really powerful way at engaging the audience, particularly when you use it at the start of a talk, because it makes people stop, reflect, and think about what you just asked them. It's also a way to sort of break up the monotony of a one-way dialogue. So being able to stop and ask a question midway through a talk can actually sort of reset their brain to then focus their attention on you. So questions can be really powerful. So the questions don't have to be complicated, they can be really basic. Like, does anyone know the statistics of such and such? How many deaths per year because of blah, blah, blah? Does anyone know what blah, blah, blah? Have you ever thought about blah, blah, blah? These are all really basic, simple questions that you can implement into any scientific presentation. And again, it's a way to sort of make the audience stop, reflect, and then focus their attention on you. And so if you think that you have a part in your seminar or presentation that loses a bit of momentum, or people begin to tune out, that can be a really powerful way to stop, ask a question, and then move forward. The second one we're talking about today is props. Having props can actually be a really interesting way to talk about your science. So your props can be used in a variety of different ways, and you can make it very easy to a little bit more complicated, and you can make them quite abstract. You really just need to spend a bit of time thinking about what you're talking about and how you could introduce a prop to really advance and make the message pop out more. So, for example, I'm a skin cancer researcher, and I look at the genetics of what causes melanoma. So one of the things that in the melanoma space and the skin cancer space is talking about prevention. So how do you reduce your risk of cancer, i.e. skin cancer, which is protecting yourself from the sun? So one of these great things that I found about was these UV cameras. So these are cameras that allow you to see what a world of UV looks like. And it makes it look black and white, but when you put on sunscreen, you can sort of see instantaneously how it's actually absorbing the UV and protecting your skin. So using one of these props can be really powerful when talking to a different audience. And this can be in the scientific setting or general community audience. I've done it for both. And every time it really engages people. It gets them excited. The kids absolutely loved it. It is a little bit of a technology difficulty because you need to be able to stream it onto the thing to really effectively do it on the fly. But it really does engage people and really reinforces the message of why people need to protect themselves from their skin in order to reduce the damage from the ultraviolet radiation from the sun. But you can use these ideas in a variety of different things. You just need to spend some time to think about what could I introduce to make this more engaging? Another example is I've talked about drug resistance and how that occurs. In particularly in one setting, how cells can become resistant due to the transcriptional cell states, or the genes that are expressed at any given point in time. And so we know sort of in the literature there's sort of these two main cell states, one being drug sensitive, one being drug resistant. And so one way I talk about that is using different colored balls. So I have like a blue ball and a red ball, and I say, these cells are really drug sensitive, which means the drugs that we have kill them off. These cells are really resistant, and we're trying to find the genes that can cause the switch from a drug sensitive to a drug resistant, and a drug resistant to a drug sensitive, with the idea if we could find those genes, we could turn a drug resistant to a drug sensitive so that it's now responsive to our current therapies. So it's as simple as balls. I've used Smarties. You just really need to spend some time to think about it, and it can be a really powerful way to engage an audience. Now, these props are probably more effective in the setting of talking to the community or a general audience, but you can definitely get away and really boost a scientific presentation, because how many people bring props to a scientific presentation? Pretty much no one, so if you do it, you're going to stand out. And the last point today is talking about pauses. So pauses can be a really powerful way to get the audience to focus their attention on you. And when I say pauses, we're talking about physical stoppage of your verbal communication, like. Now, it's going to feel like an eternity when you do it, and what you think is probably like 3 seconds of pauses is probably only like a second. So if you're going to try and do these pauses, you really want to try and put it in there, take the time to just stand there, look at the crowd, engage with them with the eye contact, and really make the pause effective. Now, you don't want to be doing these too often. You want to put them in certain areas of your talk, particularly in the ones that have the most powerful messages behind it. So if you've just presented a really interesting statistic or something that would really be shocking, you could say, so we've found out that such and such causes this. And what does this mean? This means that blah, blah, blah. So you can see, like, introducing that pause, it makes people stop and reflect, look at you, focus their attention on you, and then the next words that you say, they're going to be listening to. So pauses can be a real powerful way to get your message across, but it can also be a way to really make you be more memorable, because how many people really use the pause effectively? It is a really high-level speaker skill set, and again, it's going to feel very uncomfortable doing it for the first time, but it can be really powerful. If you want to take it to the next level, and if you're doing a scientific presentation with slides, you can actually hit the black or the B or the white button to make your screen go black or white. And no one ever does this, and again, this also means that you have to be in front of the keyboard to be able to do this. But when there's no visuals on the slide deck, they're going to look straight at you, like straight at you. And the next things that you say, they're going to listen to. So that can be a really memorable and powerful technique. If you don't have access to the keyboard, if you know in the setup beforehand, you can actually just put in a blank slide in between slides if you know that's going to be a powerful moment. If you've got a clicker, that's another way to do it. No one really ever does it, so it's going to make you more memorable. So we know that IT problems often happen, and so you can actually make a bit of a joke about it if you want to sort of really cut up the atmosphere of what you're presenting. So you can hit that black button, make the screen go black. Sometimes it might actually make people think that the projector's failed. You can make a joke about it, but then you could also lead on with saying, this is on purpose because I really want you to pay attention to what I'm about to say, which is such and such is such and such. So you could sort of use some of these techniques in a different way to sort of change the atmosphere depending on the crowd and depending how much energy that you've got and what you sort of feel the audience is feeling. So if you've got any other ideas or thoughts or suggestions, put them in the comments below. That will really act as a resource for any other future scientists who stumble across this video, and hopefully we'll create a nice list of how you can make yourself more memorable. Definitely get the word out there and stay tuned because we're going to be doing more videos on how to be a better scientist. Bye.